Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. So today I have a story time for you guys. Basically, I got invited to the movies. I had my cousin with me. I did tell the guy that, so if he wanted to invite a homeboy, a cousin, anything, and he didn't have anybody, so it was just my cousin and I. He ended up saying he was gonna pick me up. I had a gut feeling because I even told him like, oh, do you just want me to meet you up there? But he's like, no, I can pick you guys up. So I ended up being very nervous. I usually am a little bit nervous and shy whenever I'm meeting somebody new, but for some reason I was overly like anxious, and I think that was my gut feeling telling me not to go. Anyways, I ended up getting like ready or whatever, and he picked us up. When I gave him the address, I didn't expect him to come that fast, which was fine, like because the movie, we didn't want to be late for the movie for Insidious. It was a very, very good movie, by the way. I definitely recommend you guys to go watch it if you guys love horror movies like I do. And we got to basically he's like, oh, I'm here. So I did take a little bit, like about 5 minutes to respond to him. And then I'm like, oh, you're here? Because I was very anxious. So when I didn't go outside, he didn't tell me what car he had, which usually people like tell you like, hey, I'm driving this car, blah, 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 blah. I parked here, nothing. So I see a car and I'm guessing it's him, but I don't like to walk up to cars because it's a crazy world that we live in nowadays. So I always like to make sure before and confirm that it's actually him. And he seemed annoyed because he's like, I'm the one with the lights on. He didn't even, and then after like 2 minutes, he ended up saying, oh, the brand of his car. So I was about to walk towards the car, and then he zooms up. Like, it seemed like he was about to run us over. We get in the car. Mind you, he didn't open the door for me, which the last guy I talked to did. So I was like, whatever. Anyways, that was just like something I noticed. I'm like, okay, some of these guys don't have the same mannerisms, I guess. You can't really compare guys though, so whatever. I got in the car, and he asked me like, what you do today? And I tell him my day, that I went swimming, that I went to eat with I was hanging out with my cousin, listening to music. And then I asked him back, like, what did you do today? How was your day? And he said, I didn't do shit. And I'm like, if trying to get to know each other and we're trying to have a conversation, that's not the best ideal answer. And I think he noticed like my face because I was like taken back. So he ended up saying, oh, like I had told you before, I went to my mom's, which he had told me by text. But I mean, we're having a conversation, so all that is unnecessary. And then we end up, it was a very awkward drive to the movie theater. Thankfully, the movie theater was not far from my apartment at all. So we get there. It's kind of awkward walking in with him, I'm not gonna lie. And I'm like, this is a moment of truth. Do I need to get my wallet out? Because I did not expect of him to pay for me. I was thinking like he should since he invited me, but at the same time, I wasn't expecting it, and especially not expecting him to pay for my cousin. We go up to the guy who's working the register, and he's saying like, where do we want to be seated? And then we pick, and then he's like, is it together, is it separate? And it gets kind of awkward. And then he's like, oh, we're all together. And he pulls his phone out, and he's trying to like say, oh, do you guys accept Apple Pay? I don't know if movie theaters accept Apple Pay or not, but they said no. So I don't know if any other movie theaters did or not, but that one didn't in particular. So that was very awkward. And I was like waiting for him to get like his wallet out, since he did say all together, and he did make it seem like he was gonna pay. Tell me why he's like, oh, I forgot my wallet in the car. And then he looks at me, and I'm like, oh, go get it. Because for me, like, yes, I could pay for myself. My cousin can pay for herself. That's not an issue, but I'm not going to pay for him because it's like technically the first date, you know? And if it was like somebody that I've already went out with a couple times, yes, I would definitely pay. But it's somebody I'm barely meeting, and like the impressions were not there. It was very bad impressions. So after that, like, he's like, oh, like, I'm gonna go to the car to get it. Do you guys want to stay here or come? Well, I'm like thinking he's gonna come right back in, so I'm like, oh, we'll just wait for you here, you know. Well, and then meanwhile, I'll have like a convo with my cousin. That's why I said that. And then I was telling my cousins like, this is so awkward. And then 5 minutes pass, 10 minutes pass. I'm like, oh, he's not coming back, you know? So I end up telling my cousin, let's just pay for our tickets and like let's go inside. We ended up getting popcorn and drinks and everything and our ticket. And then, like, mind you, like 5 minutes later, or no, it had already passed like 20 minutes because we did get there a little bit early. So when it's like 5 minutes before the movie's gonna start, he messages me like, oh, hey, I'm back. Where you guys at? He starts calling me. He called me like 3 times and he blew me up. He sent me like 10 messages saying like, hey, where you're at? Did you guys leave? Did you guys go inside? Where you guys at? I came back to pay for all of us. Did he really? He said, and then he said, I went home to go get my wallet. So he did not communicate that. So I believed that he basically waited until me and my cousin paid for ourselves to come in and pay for himself. And he was probably waiting for us because he didn't want to pay for us, which is fine. He didn't have to, but I wasn't going to pay for him. And then the way he didn't communicate just threw me off. It turned me off completely. I did not respond, you guys. I did not want him to ruin the movie for me because the movie was amazing. I ended up not responding because I was just taken back. I ended up unfriending him, like taking him off all my social medias because either he really went all the way home but he didn't communicate that, or 2, he expected me to pay for him, or 3, he waited till we went in there and then he was only going to pay for himself, you know? So I didn't want to figure out which one of the 3 it was. And his communication when we were talking in the car anyways was very rude, and it seemed like he wasn't even trying to talk to me anyways. So I was just like, oh, I'm just go our separate ways. I had my other cousin pick us up, and that was that. That was one of the worst experiences. That's never happened to me before. Comment down below your worst date because this one is definitely my worst date.